We are in this series on the minor prophets. We've been looking at the book of Nahum and trying to come to terms with this idea that God can be good and angry, that God can be a good God and yet have jealousy, anger, and take vengeance. Those great against our 21st century enlightened values. It's a little bit ironic that we have trouble with the book of Nahum because Nahum was written as a book of comfort to the Jews who are really behind and looking like it's going to suffer. And so this book is a book promising God's power and God's care, his ability to persevere over evil. And so it's a book of comfort. But that's not how we experience it. Because the comfort to the Jews is going to come with the destruction of the Assyrians. This is not a win-win scenario. This is a win-lose scenario, and the Assyrians are going to lose, and many find that troubling. We don't think that God being good and angry necessarily go together. But make no mistake, that's clearly what is claimed. So let me read a few verses here from Nahum 1. The Lord is a jealous and avenging God. The Lord takes vengeance and is filled with wrath. The Lord takes vengeance on his foes and vents his wrath against his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger, but great in power. The Lord will not leave the guilty unpunished. Who can withstand his indignation? Who can endure his fierce anger? His wrath is poured out like fire. The rocks are shattered before him. The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. But with an overflowing flood, he will make an end of Nineveh. He will pursue his foes into the realm of darkness. Now, I don't feel any need to justify or explain, unpack the statements about God being good and God being trustworthy. We get that. It's the question about how a good God can be described with terms like anger and jealousy and vengeance. Now, let me just say, I'm going to save jealousy for a later time because I think, for the most part, we get that a little bit. I am jealous of Sherry's affection. I'm not willing to share her affection with another man. That's not a bad thing, right? I mean, we can have a righteous jealousy, and I think we get that. But I think there's a little bit of problem with the idea of vengeance. And it's hard for us to think positively about a God who is taking revenge on someone. So let me step back and note that that's not actually the way this gets described. We are familiar with people seeking vengeance, right? People who say, I don't get mad, I just get even. Those are people who are usually mad. They're just not at that point able to get even, and so they're sort of buying time and saving face. But they intend to seek vengeance, to get revenge on their enemies. So they are emotionally triggered. And we sort of go into that mindset and we think of, oh my goodness, if God gets emotionally triggered, if God is so angry that he's going to come out swinging, that's a really scary thing. And I would agree, that is a very scary thing. That's not what is talked about here. It's not an emotionally triggered response. It's an all-inclusive response. It's a perfect response. And it's not revenge, it's retribution. It's not seeking, to be one up. It's not seeking to hurt somebody. It is looking to establish justice. So we need to understand, right? God is just. He is righteous, right? So evil will be addressed. And wrong will have to offer an account. So I say we don't want justice. We want justice for other people. We want justice for those who hurt us. But as a Christ follower, I'm very quick to say, I have hurt a lot of people. I do a lot of things. I hurt especially the people that I love the most. because I'm around them the most. And so we're always disappointing people. We're always, we're guilty of pride and greed and anger, and we do stupid things. I don't want justice. I very desperately want God's grace and mercy. But we need to understand that justice is served because the penalty for my sin is paid for. It's paid for by Jesus. So all of that just to set up this idea that when it comes to revenge, that's not really the term. What Nahum is talking about is the wicked Assyrians who have cruelly, it's unspeakable what the Assyrians would do. Our ability to really be horrific towards other human beings is a little bit staggering and sobering. They have been vile, and God is now saying, enough. I'm going to put an end to that. I am going to seek justice. I'm going to exercise justice, not a fly off the handle, angry rage, but I am going to exercise justice against people who have been very cruel. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. Have a good day.